Podsters, episode 33. Welcome back, guys.
Welcome back, Podsters. It's episode 33, and I can only ask at this point, what do you recall at the age of 33? Do you remember what you were doing at the age of 33?
You asking me?
Yeah.
33, I gotta think. I think I'd probably been... I don't know.
Exactly, because I don't
like
think...
the dead silence in the podcast, so...
No, that's a really good thing to think about. So let's
what year
just
would
say...
that? I'm trying to think, what year would that have been for me?
I can't even do the math right now. It's just not popping into my head.
No, me neither. I think I'd been in the States for a year or two permanently.
Okay, all right.
So relocated to a different continent, I guess.
That's pretty substantial.
I know what I did. I actually, 33. So I think I started doing the whole vet tech education.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was probably it.
Well, that's very, very interesting because at 33, I probably wasn't amounting to much or doing much of anything.
Neither was I, really.
Just living life.
Exactly. Mi vida loca.
But I had to say that, like, my 30s have been, like, my enlightening years. I feel a bit wiser, per se.
I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
If I look back to when I was 20.
Oh, for sure. I think 30 is the kind of decade where most people kind of, quote unquote, grow up, get more life experience, get their shit together and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Well, for me, I've always been a late bloomer, so I never got my shit together throughout my 30s until maybe like 35.
Well, that's still in your 30s.
Yeah, but it took a while.
Right. Well, yeah, 33, I don't know. I'd have to do the math.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, who else is out there that's listening right now can say, what was I doing at the age of 33?
Let us know.
Let us know.
thepodsters@gmail.com.
Was there a significant, moment in your life that really sticks out at the age of 33?
Right. Yeah, nothing for me. Well, vet tech, I guess.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And so today we were out people watching, not necessarily people watching, but running errands and stuff. And
when we do, it always ends up being people watching as well.
Yeah, it's hilarious, I have to say. Because, okay, so we go out to Sunday lunch, dinner, whatever. And it's a Chinese restaurant. We get seated, and there's a row of booths next to us, and each booth had such a different demographic from, like, they were just so different from each other, and it was hilarious because
that is a good space to people spot, for sure.
Yeah, there was a sense of tension in the air because of the different culture/demographics.
So do enlighten us. From booth 1.
From booth 1, we had the Trump supporters / possibly preacher,
some sort of Sunday
dinner with a preacher kind of thing. I don't know, because they were talking a lot about God, which is cool. Whatever.
I think there was some sort of Baptist people.
Yeah,
because the guy dressed in his black slacks and white shirt, when he shows up to work tomorrow, he's gonna wear like flip-flops and shorts and a t-shirt.
You never know. So, and he had his teenage daughter with him, and we couldn't quite see the other guy that he was talking to, it was kind of funny in a sense because he sounded like a white guy.
Yeah, he did.
And he sounded very preachery. So I'm not sure if that guy was the preacher or if the guy that was dressed up in the slacks was the preacher.
I don't know.
Either way. So that was a bit different. Okay. So I was like, okay. In booth 2, we had the for more of, I guess, a PC term.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for this one. What are you going to call booth 2?
Possibly some illegal immigrants. I don't know.
That's very politically correct.
Okay.
The illegal immigrant booth.
Yes, that's what we'll call it, okay? Because I was just
3 generations, nonetheless.
Yeah, 3 generations.
Grandma, mom,
and then there were like 2 kids.
Yep.
And the youngest kid was like maybe 2 years old, and he was still sucking down a bottle. And I was like, I think he's a bit too old for that.
But it's Mijo. Mijo wants the bottle.
Anyhow, that was my judgment there. And you know me, I feel bad when I judge.
I liked Mommy's cowboy boots and gold teeth, though. That was the grail.
I was like,
24 carats, right? In the
I
grill.
was like, that's fairly expensive.
Trafficking drugs in grandma's underwear.
Stop it. That's not cool. I think that just goes to show that we've watched too many Queens of the South shows.
Probably.
We binged those. So yeah, that.
Can't wait for what is it? 3rd season? 4th?
Oh, yes.
I don't know.
Anyhow, so okay, back to the restaurant here.
Yes, so we have booth 1, 2, and in booth 3.
In booth 3, we had, what is that one guy's name? His name is like Andrew CK or something like that. He had like one hit wonder kind of rock anthem back in like 2000 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's Andrew CK.
Yeah, he has long hair and always wears like a white shirt and white pants, and he always looks like a painter. Mm-hmm. And he's got that mullet thing going on.
Yeah, but it's not even a mullet. It's like leaving your neck hair down and then everything else in a little ponytail.
Anyhow, so that's what that guy looked like in booth 3. His wife was okay, whatever, and they seemed fairly young. So, and they had like a kid or 2 with them.
Yeah, 1 or 2.
And you could tell, I guess if they were voters, they'd be Democrats.
They'd vote for Beto for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So, and that's as far as I could see from there. And then, of course, you know, we're at...
Well, from there was this really odd kind of an older couple with an even older... So dad to one of the older couples.
Okay.
It must have been.
Okay.
Dad there, he was ancient.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was kind of funny too. The other ones were old, but they were still kind of spry. And then the old man was just chowing down.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so, I mean, that area just felt so intense.
It did. It was a weird energy.
What is going to happen? Like, something has got to happen. This is just the best combination of people.
I was almost waiting for what's it called, like a flash mob dance or something.
Oh my god! And then my whole feeling about these Chinese restaurants and stuff like that, where I kind of feel like maybe their wait staff and people that work there is kind of like a slavery thing. Okay, so that's always that weird feeling when I go into these places too. Is that a bit neurotic or what? Anyways, like I feel like bad because I'm participating in some kind of like not drug trafficking, but like human trafficking.
Shanghaied people working there?
Yeah.
But reverse Shanghaied from actually Shanghai?
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I feel, regardless if I go to a Chinese restaurant or if I go to get my nails done.
Interesting.
Yeah, so anyways, and that's why I kind of don't really like getting my nails done too sometimes, because...
You're not supporting Shanghai labor?
Yeah, I feel guilty, so I'm just like, no, I can do my own nails, thank you very much. Anyhow, so... we were at the restaurant. I was definitely waiting for something to happen. Something was a-brewing.
Yeah, it was kind of anticlimactic when everybody just up and left. They didn't even do like a dance number.
No. And like the teenage daughter of the guy that was possibly the pastor left. And I was like, so this is like a product of a broken home right here. And then the guy that we think is the pastor gets gets up and he turns around and he's wearing like his Dallas cowboy paraphernalia.
Right.
And he was Hispanic. Didn't sound Hispanic at all.
I liked his whole bandana and then an old man cap on top of that.
Yeah, that too. And I was like, that's an odd combination. But it was so funny because like after the daughter left, they got into their little conversations. And it wasn't about God.
No, I think they were kind of on the DL.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, they're a bit on the closet side. I don't know. But,
well, that's what goes through our heads on a Sunday afternoon, going shopping and eating.
Yeah, and I was kind of feeling bad about the booth too.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, well, maybe I should just be nice. It's Sunday and everything. I might as well. I was like, I should offer to pay their meal because they were kind of sitting there looking at their ticket, contemplating, do I have enough fucking money to pay for this shit?
Hey, there's always gold in the grill.
That's what it was. That's how I perceived it. But then again, I thought about the gold grill from the mama. So I was just like, no, that's okay. Mm-mm. And sure enough, I mean, they finally got up and paid their bill. But I was like, I wonder if that's like a scam of theirs. They go around and wait for somebody to feel sorry for them. And like they hesitate to pay their bill and somebody goes and pays their...
Hey, you never know.
Pays their check for them kind of thing. I don't know.
Who knows?
So, I mean, I've seen that happen with the grocery store scenario. I'm pretty sure it happens at restaurants as well. So, you gotta kind of watch yourself. It's good to give, but be careful who you give to, I guess. I don't know. Does that sound really bad?
No.
Okay, so that was the whole situation at the Chinese restaurant.
It was interesting.
And then I had to go to Walmart.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And usually I kind of get a little excited going to Walmart just knowing that I will see some funky shit.
Right.
I will see something and I will laugh, damn it.
I must say, though, that today Walmart was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing. It was very kind of disappointing. I mean, we saw the crackhead.
True. The
crackhead family.
Yep.
And I kind of wanted to, like, follow them around, but I was like, no, that's not nice. But I don't know. Walmart was pretty tame.
Yeah, it was. The buffet was better.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then we go to the grocery store, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, well, I have to mention that at Walmart we had a little, like, issue with people,
blocking the lanes.
Blocking the lanes and stuff. And I'm just kind of like, dude, come on. Really, you're not the only fucking people in the store.
We sure as shit made up for that at H-E-B, though. Because when people tried to let other people pass, knowing they blocked lanes, we snuck in there and raced our way through.
Yeah, zoom, zoom. That was so hilarious. And you should have seen the look on people's faces. It was hilarious. They were like, how dare you zoom through my space where I allowed this person to go through?
Well, I'm sorry, people.
You're taking too fucking long. I'm sorry. I gotta go. I got things to do.
Right. Our idea of a nice Sunday is not to meander around a grocery store.
Exactly. So
get out of the way. Meep, meep.
Exactly.
So on to today's first serious topic.
Okay, yeah. So you sent me that YouTube link, and I'm not sure. I don't recall the name of that link or who was speaking in it, but it was very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know either. I'll try and find it and post it below here. But it was just one of those randoms that showed up. Very interesting. It basically deals with people. I mean, when we say people, we mean like general people and their musical IQ.
Yeah, and
it has declined severely the past 10 years. And I guess it's no surprise if you're a podster because the general IQ seems to decline. But it was kind of scary with when you measure people's attention span and willingness to listen to non-familiar music. That was basically what you had to do in the past.
Yeah.
And with all these streaming services and everything at your fingertip.
It's just forced down your throat, pretty much.
Yeah, it's forced down your throat. And if you don't feel that you quite get it, it's so easy to skip ahead. Mm-hmm. Like one of and this is actually a real study that was conducted. It's not one YouTuber's perception of things. It
was a very interesting study.
It was a real study that's having been conducted. And I think part of it, the reason people's intelligence when it comes to music is declining is that way back when you had to go out, spend a lot of money on a record, and then you listen through it.
Yeah.
And because you spent a bunch of money on it, you spent more than one time listening through it. And that kind of broadens your musical perception and understanding, even if you're not into music like that. But with today, where you can just snap away at any second, it hasn't increased people's intelligence when it comes to music. It has decreased it.
Yeah. And
everybody wants familiarity and the whole whoa. What did they call it? The millennial whoa?
The millennial ooh-wah or something like that. Yeah. That was pretty interesting because it's so true in a lot of the music that's out there these days. And it's really sad.
It is.
Which brings me to Steely Dan.
Yes. I think they're a great example, though, so go ahead.
Yeah. I love Steely Dan. A lot of people kind of think, they're not the greatest band out there, but they do have something.
Well, and honestly, going back to the whole you had to listen to a full album way back in the day, I think that goes for a lot of artists that are, what should we call it? Like they're acclaimed today, that people talk about their greatness. And really, David Bowie, a full album of David Bowie isn't a full album of hits.
Right.
A lot of it can be fascinating and intriguing, as in it can trigger your musical IQ, it can trigger imagination, the way
it'll
it's
trigger
built.
your interests, and you can also focus on things that are composed within that music.
Right. But it's not, hit after hit after hit.
Right.
So I think that goes for a lot of artists from back in the day. But Steely Dan is really interesting in terms of how they blend jazz, rock, and blues.
Yeah, definitely. And that just goes to show that these days the record labels have a tendency to go for the formulas of music that actually sell at the time.
Yeah.
So maybe something that was done back in the 60s and 70s that was great for the time, but you know what? That stuff is still timeless. That stuff is still being listened to at this point.
I mean, sadly, without sitting and name dropping artists, a lot of the stuff from the 60s and 70s is stuff you can still take a record out today, listen to, and you can't pinpoint it down to, this was definitely made in early 70s.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't see anything that timeless being made today.
No, not at all.
And it's so simple, the whole 1-5-6 chord progression, the whoa, 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 everything, so that people think almost that they've heard it before. And to me, what's interesting too with that, it's as much as we say that their musical IQ is low today, I think that it was low at one point too in like the 40s and 50s, even though they didn't go back on that in this study. But it was a lot of the crooner stuff, and it was the same chords.
Well, yeah, it's the same mistake that everybody makes. It's like it's history repeating itself. It's like the crooners came in, everybody loved the crooners, so they were just jamming like all these crooner songs out there, and I
think that's where we're at today.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden came like the rock revolution, the Beatles and stuff like that.
A lot happened those 20 years.
That really changed, and the composition of that music is just amazing.
It is. And I think everybody should try at least to listen to stuff like that.
Yeah, and my thing is, when you listen to something new, listen to it, enjoy it, whatever, but then kind of think about how this was actually, how this type of music came to. Was it a combination of just, rock and jazz, or is this blues, rock, jazz, or, if there's a tone of jazz in one of your favorite songs, go out and listen to some jazz and figure out what kind of jazz you like.
Oh, for sure.
But that's, I have to say, is really something that if you're a lover of music, you have that curiosity there that will drive you to find something new, something different.
And unfortunately, I think people today, with all the other distractions around, have lost a little bit of that true love for music. Mm-hmm. It's easy to sit and kind of ramble off your hippity hop artists you've listened to, but have you really listened? And I think that's what people don't do today.
Yeah.
They turn something on with their phone as they're doing something on the computer, as their TV is going. And that's not listening to music.
The thing is that's all geared to the younger people out there, the younger generations.
Yeah,
because
but younger generations don't have to be idiots.
Unfortunately, I have to say, my conspiracy theory.
Oh, I'm with you on this one.
The government just tries to make everybody stupid and complacent so they can just do whatever the fuck they want.
Oh, yeah.
Stir shit up. What do you think?
Yeah, let's stir it up. Let's listen to some jazz.
Right? Jazz it out.
No, but I think it's sad that there's a lot of good music that goes unheard out there because simply the only people who can listen to the music are the few that are still musically either just interested in music, they really truly love music.
Yeah.
Or they're like me, musicians themselves, to where you go into it even deeper. Like Steely Dan is interesting in the sense of how they play, like you say, how they mix up. They don't play the blues scale, so to speak, the pentatonic blues scale on their instruments. They go into other scales, and they don't even play the first position, which is the first one you learn. They kind of go even further with that.
Yeah.
Peter Frampton is another great example if we're going to dork out. Like how it sounds rock, but then he's got those odd kind of jazzy things. And it's like how he all of a sudden out of nowhere just throws in like a Mixolydian scale in the whole thing. And it's interesting. But if you truly love music, expand your horizon and actually get into music, the melody, the way things are built. Because unfortunately, the crap that is put out there today isn't built. You could do it on your own at home.
Yeah.
Takes about zero talent.
And if you listen to good music and you know somebody who doesn't,
turn them on to it.
Yeah, turn them on to it. I mean, you will feel like on top of the world if that person gets turned on to the music you like.
For sure.
I think.
And if you like a certain type of music, broaden out. That's my, honestly, I have a hard time defining what I like. Because there's certain things I listen to more than other things.
Yeah.
But I also like big band swing. I like some old jazz. I like doo-wop on top of that. It's not just punk and hard rock,
exactly.
that I listen to. I like classical music too.
Right. You are a music lover. You are a connoisseur of
because you get interested. You hear something somewhere and you go like, where does that come from? Mm-hmm. And then you start delving into it and like... Well, jazz, but where did they take their thing from?
Yeah.
Oh, it's from this and that, and all of a sudden, you broaden your horizons.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've gotten into blues and soul.
Yeah.
The Motown stuff.
Yeah. Because at one point, you kind of just go like, where did it come from? Mm-hmm. So, turn somebody on. With your love for music.
Or smooth jazz.
Yeah. So another entertainment topic. We have been binge watching, like we said earlier, Queens of the South, right? Or Queen of the South.
Queen of the South and the Mayans. Well, we just got into the Mayans.
Right. We just started watching the Mayans.
But I'm a big fan of Queen of the South.
So am I.
It's freaking amazing. It just it's action packed.
Uh-huh.
The women have the power in this particular show, and there's a lot of women empowerment kind of thing and
right
stuff.
I almost think you're skipping ahead. I would want to start here.
No, that's what I like. That's what kind of drew me to the show.
Right, but I was going to say, what are the similarities between the shows? It's really that it deals with
the cartel.
Right.
Yeah. And I've never been one to like glorify any of those like cartel movies and stuff like that. I don't really like them per se, but for some reason, Queen of the South really drew me in, and they were really technical in their how they put everything together.
Yes.
Pretty much like the ins and out of how things work in the cartel and stuff. I was just like amazed. It just drew me in.
And it's got a lot of twists and turns, and you have the female, like, what would you call it in like a more cinematic, like strong female leads?
Yeah, heroine.
Yes. Whereas the Mayans
are a bunch of guys.
Yeah, it's male dominated.
Yeah, male dominated. There's a lot of good-looking, scruffy men in there or whatever.
Yeah, I would say that's the only drawback of Queen of the South was that their scruffies were too clean.
Yeah, I was a bit disappointed in their whole the love interest and the masculine men, or the men that are supposed to be in these masculine roles and stuff. And they were a little too on the pretty side, I guess.
Right.
They were a little too femme for me.
So if we break this down, because I think it's an interesting observation you had, how they're different, really.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that has to do with the fact that Queen of the South is actually an adaptation of a Mexican drama, I guess, or action?
A telenovela?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak for if it's really a telenovela. Or if it's really
like just a Mexican
or a Mexican
movie made in Mexico.
No, but a Mexican TV series.
Okay, yeah.
I tend to lean towards the fact that it's probably just adapted for America in Queen of the South. Do you think?
But it adapted really well. If it did, in fact, come from where you said it was.
Well, I know for a fact it did. Okay. I just haven't seen the Spanish version of it. So my question is...
but come on, like any telenovela, they all just look really cheaply produced, per se.
Right, but what I'm saying is that I'm not really saying is that to begin with, it doesn't have to have been a telenovela per se. It could have been a Mexican TV series.
Okay.
That then got adapted to an American TV series.
Right.
Do you think that the difference between how things are being made has to do with the fact that here they've taken an already established concept, and we do know that foreign nationalities make their TV series and movies differently than here.
Yeah.
So they got like a fresh look out of it. Yeah. Whereas the Mayans, to begin with, let's start here. It's a spin-off of Sons of Anarchy. Sons of Anarchy is a Hollywood production. Where the Mayans still have the same writers, the same producers. It's very, in that sense, quote unquote, Americanized.
Definitely, I'd have to say that.
To me, I think that's...
It's a little clean for me so far compared to Queen of the South. Because, I mean, Queen of the South right away, there was just like murders and rapes and stuff like that.
Well, and their action scenes were
really, really good, I have to say.
Yes, and the plot is a little bit more... I don't want to say intelligent, but it's a little bit more thought through.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of twists and turns that really make you think.
Do you think that has to do with, like we said, that seems to be the case of a lot of foreign me being Swedish, for instance, I like watching Swedish, well, anything comedies, Swedish crime things, whatever we can get our hands on, really.
Yeah, like on the Netflix Swedish, you're into the whole Swedish Law and Order kind of thing.
That too. Law and Order?
No.
What?
I'm just saying that I'm comparing it.
Oh, well, I wouldn't say like. Law and Order. Yeah, kind of. Well, more of a detective show, but they're certainly not as cheesy as the ones being made in the States. And once again, I think that has to do with the fact that it's not all about bringing in the highest ratings and the highest commercial capital for the stations, whereas when things are being Hollywood produced, it's all about we have to get great ratings, we have to get in the big fish in terms of commercials, so we generate tons of money. And once again,
that has a tendency to water down their...
Yes, it waters down. And I think once again, to tie it into musical IQ, people in the United States especially, because rock and roll in all its forms is alive and well in Europe, for instance.
Yeah, it is.
So do you think it has to do with that whole musical IQ and how they do the same little whoa-whoa-whoas to be recognized, so people feel kind of comfortable watching it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost feel that that's the same thing with something like the Mayans or whatever American-made, show there is. It has to have that element of familiarity to it.
It has to have that like safety net.
Yes, it's made out of a mold. We start it, and then 10 minutes into it, we have to have an action scene. 25 minutes into it, it's a tender love scene. Yada
formula,
yada. Right,
and it's what's safe.
Exactly, but it's
what's
safe.
Safe for all these investors that put their money into the production of these movies and stuff like that. And it's like, they're telling these producers keep making movies based on this formula because it's bringing in money, and it's actually dumbing down a bit when it comes to the whole production of things.
Right. So I think that is a huge part, like a difference, that this was a made in Mexico TV show and it's just being brought over to the States. Yeah. And it's interesting with stuff like that. This seems to be a fairly popular show, but there has been other attempts that haven't been as popular. I'm thinking of, there was a Swedish movie called Let the Right One In. And basically...
Oh, is that the vampire one?
Yes, the vampire movie. And then they brought it over to the United States, and basically all they did was they took, instead of being like the suburbs of Stockholm where it took place, I guess they let it take place in New Mexico and Albuquerque or something.
Okay.
But the movie was shot scene by scene exactly the same. And it never became a hit. People here didn't get it because it didn't have this whole Twilight vampire concept.
Right.
And once again, we're back of where other countries, they dare take twists and turns because they have the artistic freedom to do so.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's this, we have to keep it in that safe mold so people are familiar with it and we can get the greatest revenue.
And it's just to satisfy investors.
Yes.
And their agendas.
Yes. That too.
That really sucks.
It does. It kills creativity, I think.
Yeah. And I have to say that, like, a lot of Pluto TV is kind of cool. It is really interesting because it has a bunch of different like networks, and they have these really interesting topics and shows and stuff, and it's like they're doing this for free,
right?
Why can't mainstream media and movie productions create something that is worthwhile, that stimulates the brain, that makes you think, that even a comedy can make you think?
Oh, for sure. If it's done right, it can.
Yeah.
But once
it can be stupid, but yet you can.
But once again, we're there. If you play it safe, you have to have that whole familiarity, and it's gonna bring the best revenue. Yada yada yada. That, I think, is the problem with mainstream media. That it's a mold that they're just following, and they have been following for the past, 40 years at least?
Yeah, that's going to eventually bite them in the end, because they're not going to, pretty much, when it comes down to it, when it's actually time for them to change that formula, they'll already have been behind like by 10, 20 years.
Oh, totally. I mean, that is part of...
It's just like newspapers.
Oh, yeah.
And the internet kind of thing.
Totally. I mean, why did the music industry crash when you had all these streaming services popping up?
Right.
Because they weren't with the times. And I'm definitely certain that when it comes to like TV and movie media as well, the more access we can gain to these independent channels, the more people are going to be interested in them, the less these regular good old networks are going to get their viewers.
Yeah.
But they're going to sit and spend 10 years debating what the heck went wrong. And by the time they figure it out, they're behind again.
Exactly.
Just like the music industry.
It's going to happen. And it may happen sooner than later. I don't know. But I'm hoping it'll happen sooner.
I hope so, too. I think we have to give it another 10 years.
Revolution. Watch, we're going to get tapped right now.
Right. Trump is pulling the plug. Guys, we gotta go. See you next week. Until then, have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.